Hey, what's up, everybody? Dr. Jaws here, and tonight we are covering the Smalleye Hammerhead, Sphyrna tudes, also known as the golden hammerhead. So I'm super excited about this particular species. This is a species that I'm a little bit familiar with as far as being a critically endangered shark species. So I made a, I think this is now maybe 2 years ago. Hey, Sir Douglas Bain, what's up? Welcome back. I was just saying, like about 2 years ago, I made a critically endangered sharks video featuring the hammerheads in particular. So five hammerhead species in particular, because hammerheads in general are a very sensitive group, and this shark is one of them. Hey, Minjus, what's up? Welcome back. How was your guys' weekend, by the way? Like mine was pretty busy. Nothing like too exciting, but just like seeing like family and stuff. So pretty busy overall. Just running different errands here and there. But let me know if you guys did anything cool over the weekend. But this is going to be a really fun stream as far as this particular species and this particular group. So Smalleye hammerheads are very rare. They're critically endangered. They are a shark of high conservation priority, and still there's not really a lot known about them. And I also kind of love the mystery of them in the sense that they're the golden hammerhead. There is actually one nature special made on them as far as like the lost hammerhead shark and like, you know, how do we find it, and you know how are we going to approach it, and like why does it have that golden color. So a lot of cool stuff on this species. There's actually quite a lot of we still don't know a lot about it, but there's actually a couple really interesting pieces of research on the species, so I'm really excited about that. So, awesome. I'm glad you had a relaxing weekend, Minjus. So, yeah, so for this species, I think as a good preamble, we could talk about, just as a general, hammerheads. Hammerheads are very sensitive as far as fishing pressure goes. I think I've mentioned it a couple of times on the stream, but unlike other sharks, or a lot of other sharks, hammerheads need to constantly keep swimming and are probably the most sensitive group as far as like if they are held back from swimming, and you know, meaning like if they are hooked and like stuck on a long line, they really don't last that long. Like it's like 1 to 3 hours is like the soak time that a typical hammerhead can last on a hook, and then past that time they usually die. So other shark species, even sharks that need to keep swimming in order to breathe, usually last longer than the hammerheads. But for some reason, hammerheads in particular are very sensitive to that side of fishing pressure. Another part of hammerheads is that, based on their biology or morphology, they have the huge cephalofoil and short pectoral fins and an enormous first dorsal fin to kind of help balance things out. And that first dorsal fin, unfortunately, has been a huge target for shark finning. So hammerhead fins, unfortunately, tend to be, the more prized of shark fins. Sandbar shark fins too, like just because they're so huge. Proportionate to the species size. And the other part of it is like hammerheads are a coastal species, so they're more easily accessible than other shark species. So, so Douglas, the side view kind of looks like a lemon shark. Yes, actually, that's a cool observation because the color palette is kind of similar. Because like lemon sharks uniquely have that, like coppery, lemony, like yellowish color. And so does the Smalleye hammerhead, and I believe the potential reason is that it helps it blend into the turbid water. So like the more golden the color, the more it can blend into like river mouths, in its South American home. So I think that is the theory as far as why Smalleye hammerheads have that golden color. It's also the origin of the really cool name golden hammerhead. So that's really cool. But anyway, all hammerheads are sensitive to fishing. All hammerheads are targeted for their fins. And then you can split all hammerheads up into two groups, like the big hammerheads, which are the great hammerhead, the scalped hammerhead, and the smooth hammerhead. And then the small hammerheads, which would be like the bonnethead shark, the scalped bonnethead. Also, I think that is sometimes also known as a mallethead shark, the winghead shark, the Smalleye hammerhead. And I believe there's one more that currently is kind of escaping me right now. But anyway, the large hammerheads it's not really an advantage because many of them are still critically endangered, but they have the ability to go into deep water and escape fishing pressure a little bit, but again, a lot of them are critically endangered. So the scalloped hammerhead and great hammerhead are critically endangered. And then the small hammerheads can't escape. They are locked into their nearshore environment. So that is a huge issue conservation-wise, and the Smalleye hammerhead is no exception, being a small coastal hammerhead shark. The last thing I know about the species before we dive in to more detail is that it occupies mangrove habitat, and unfortunately in parts of its range, mangrove forests are being demolished and replaced with either development or like beach houses and stuff, or shrimp farming. And this is why, like, as far as like seafood goes, shrimp imported from other places, especially South America and Asia, it's really kind of problematic, because it's like a lot of the coastline to create these shrimp farms are just is bulldozed over. It's just like really unhealthy for the environment. These mangrove forests, which naturally kind of like refresh the ocean, they kind of clean the water, they provide nursery habitat for a lot of fishes. They're being plowed over for shrimp farming, and it's just it's so pervasive that unfortunately it's had a negative impact on this shark's habitat and many other shark species as well. So, oh yeah, so Minjus, I just saw your comment. I thought the whole sharks need to keep moving in order to breathe thing was a myth. So it's interesting because it's a mix. It's like there are some sharks, and that group is called obligate ram ventilators. So yeah, obligate ram ventilators, or ram ventilators. So those are sharks that do need to keep swimming in order to breathe. They plow through the water column in order to get oxygen over their gills. And hammerheads are like probably the greatest example of that, where they need to constantly keep swimming in order to breathe. The other group of sharks are the buccal pumpers. So a lot of our bottom-dwelling species, like the Port Jackson shark, the woebegone, which we saw recently, those actively can sit down on a seabed and actively pump water over their gills, and they can breathe in that way. So it's kind of a mix. Like there is like the myth is like the myth is all sharks being restricted to swimming, but the reality is like some sharks are restricted to swimming, some sharks can sit on the seabed and pump water over the gills. So hey Howard, welcome back. Glad to see you. Also, I got your message about the drawing, so no worries. I'm really excited to see the Smalleye hammerhead. So will be cool. Like you're more than welcome to keep illustrating to this stream, and then we can showcase the final drawing next week. So I'm really excited to see that, because this is a uniquely beautiful species. So yeah, I think without further ado, that's all my cliff notes on the Smalleye hammerhead. So we can just dive into lots of research. But firstly, nope, not this. That's music I have for tonight. I have kind of like South American like vibe going on, just because the species lives in South American waters. But we have a cool clip from an old 90s Shark Week special on, and I love the title, In Search of the Golden Hammerhead, but it does feature the species, and it's the only footage of the species. This is actually the first time it's ever been seen live in the wild, which is really exciting. So yeah, let's check it out. So there it is, the Smalleye hammerhead, also known as the golden hammerhead, and immediately you can see that beautiful like yellowish golden color. You can see and I love that it looks like a mini scalloped hammerhead, as far as like you have that beautiful scallop shape, and yet the cephalofoil looks a little bit like smaller and shorter, and like this individual in particular, I can't tell if that is an adult or a juvenile, as far as like because this species tends to be pretty small. I believe they get to be the size of a bonnethead, but it's a beautiful shark, and this is actually really cool footage. It seems a bit more compact than the scalloped hammerhead, because I've seen scalloped hammerheads in the wild, and they seem a little bit, I feel like their features are a little bit more elongated, like the distance between the cephalofoil to the pectoral fin seems a little bit longer and greater. I feel like the Smalleye hammerhead might be a little bit more compact. I love seeing the tall first dorsal fin, very commanding. Oh. And I think that might be the only clip, so we'll kind of go back and we'll slow it down so we can get a better view of this species. So we'll take one more clip at one more look at full speed, and then slow it down to like half speed. But that's so cool. and you can see the surrounding water. It does have like kind of, I mean, it's so soupy that it does have kind of like a greenish, soupy-ish tint. And I know like kind of like near where I live, as far as the Chesapeake Bay goes, and tributaries of the bay like the York River, the further upriver you go, the soupier it gets, and actually like the more golden brown it gets too. So when you get further into like high sediment areas, it does become more golden brown. I have some photographs of like jellyfish, and if I'm closer to the bay mouth, like the water is like teal and it's really pretty. But if I'm closer to like a river, the water is actually a golden brown color. So, and then as you get further and further, it just becomes like really, really bad. like, so it's interesting. I think this golden color probably helps blend in with that kind of murky environment. And then that would actually kind of make sense for lemon sharks too, because lemon sharks famously use mangroves. Like they famously use nearshore habitats like mangroves as nurseries. So, and let's slow that down to half speed to get like a better look at this. There we go. So it's really cool individual, and I love like the small size of this because I'm used to small hammerheads being bonnethead sharks, but it's really cool to see kind of like a miniature hammerhead, like an actual hammerhead with that classic shape, like the T-shape cephalofoil, but just kind of in smaller form. It's just really cool. So this individual, I believe, if I remember how the special goes, was recently released, so he's probably kind of reorienting himself and probably not feeling super great. But the color is very healthy, and it is actively swimming, so it seems like it's going to be okay as far as like the release team, because I believe in this special they were taking diagnostics like blood samples and tissue samples of the shark. And it's cool to see that the divers are filming it and monitoring it. So the shark is probably trying to reorient itself back into its environment, which is why the divers are able to get so close to it. But once it keeps breathing and once it starts to kind of like kind of enrich its body with more and more oxygen, it will probably start to take off. So it looks, and like as far as I could tell, it does look like a healthy individual overall. So. And again, that first dorsal fin is proportionally really huge compared to the rest of the body, which is really cool because that's an adaptation to help it stabilize it with its unique body shape, with having the cephalofoil and the short pectoral fins. And it also helps with the tight turn. So the cephalofoil in combination with the dorsal fin helps this and other hammerheads do those tight turns to quickly grab prey items in a way that actually outcompetes other shark species, which is so cool. So. But yeah, love to learn more about the golden hammerhead. Now, there's a rumor that golden hammerheads have been seen in the Mediterranean, but it's really strange to kind of piece that together because their main range is South America. So, we'll see as we kind of learn more about the species tonight. Also, I don't know, let me check the comments to see if Roy has joined us, because here, we'll go back here. Because I believe this was a species that he recommended, and correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah. Let's see. Yes, sorry, Benji, so just looking at the comment. You may have brought it up before, but cephalofoil size seemingly usually related to overall size. Yes, so what's cool, and this is something that's extremely cool about all shark species, is that the size of every fin creates each fin balances the other to create the perfect shape and the perfect dynamic that shark's specific niche or habitat. So I think a good example is dusky smoothhounds, which are also related like leopard sharks. They have like square dorsal fins, square dorsal fins, and then a square notch on their caudal fin. And if you there's been studies done where they can visualize the way the shark pushes against the water around it, and the way it swims creates these like, I believe these like I forget the right term for it, but like kind of like these vortices or eddies that the other fins kind of help, like complement, that help the shark maximize its maneuverability with minimum energy input. So every shark has this, where it's like the shape of the dorsal fin relates to the shape of the pectoral fins, relates to the shape of the caudal fin. It's like all the fins are working together to create a unique signature in the water, and the kind of movement that is best for this shark species. So for this hammerhead, like the Smalleye hammerhead, like other hammerheads, the cephalofoil, the dorsal fin size, pectoral fin size, the pelvic fin size, the anal and second dorsal fin size, the caudal fin size, they all proportionally work together to create the optimal, like, what's the word? The optimal, like the most efficient. It's kind of like airplane design. It's like you're creating the most hydrodynamic shape, like the best shape for that particular shark for its particular niche. So, because it's like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like if you have like maybe, actually airplanes are a really good example, because if you have a certain size of, and also they're very topical because like, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with the airplane news, but I've been following that crap so much because I don't know if you notice, I'm quite scared of flying. I don't like it. But anyway, sorry, all the airplane news is terrible. But anyway, if you have a certain size of aircraft, you need a certain size of wing, and the wing needs to be positioned. You can't like fool around from where the wings are on the aircraft. You have to have it at just the right spot to generate the right amount of lift, and to make sure the whole thing is functional. So it's the same thing with sharks, and especially hammerhead sharks, because they have the unique cephalofoil feature, that provides additional lift, which is why their pectoral fins are proportionally smaller than other carcharodontiform sharks. So, like, sandbar sharks don't have the cephalofoil, so they need larger pectoral fins in order to kind of balance out that whole equation of like hydrodynamics. But hammerheads have the cephalofoil, so they don't really need large pectoral fins. And in fact, large pectoral fins would kind of screw up how they swim in the water, so they have these smaller pectoral fins to help balance the entire equation out. It's so cool. Like, I love that level of like shark hydrodynamics, and the fact that like every feature has a purpose, and including every detail of every feature, like the size of the fins, the dermal denticles on the fins, and how they're shaped, and how they're like running on the shark's body. It's super, super cool. So thank you for that question, because Sir Douglas wait, cephalofoil and hydrofoil, what's the difference? So I think, so for cephalofoil, like cephala is like the Latin word for head. So cephalofoil literally means like the head foil. So it's a common term for hammerhead sharks, because like their head is that kind of shape. Hydrofoil, I think you can apply it to hammerheads, and I think it has been applied to hammerheads. And I think based on the Latin root, hydrofoil would just kind of refer to like the physics of the head shape. So I think both are fine as far as hammerhead sharks go, but the cephalofoil just refers to like that flat shape is literally a part of the shark's head, whereas the hydrofoil kind of refers to just the flat shape itself and how it uniquely relates to the hydrodynamics in the water. So I think that's the difference between the two, but I believe you can use both interchangeably with hammerheads. The term I'm used to is cephalofoil. That's one I keep seeing as far as hammerheads go, but I think both can be used for the species. So, but good question. So, Min just love that. Nature's Oceanic Airplane. Yes. So it's so cool. I remember there was like a Shark Week special about, I think it was like the U.S., and I have no idea where this research went, but it was like the U.S. Navy was studying shark dermal denticles to apply them to their own craft, like their own watercraft, to increase like speed of like their ships and stuff. So I don't know the details of that research, and I forget where that research went, as in like how it developed, but I do remember that being a thing that Shark Week was kind of covering, and it's a pretty cool piece of science that is actually good television as well. So that was like a late aughts, early 10s special. So here we go. Yeah, and I sorry, I just saw the terminology here. Supporting a distinctly flat and arched cephalofoil or hammerhead. So yeah, actually, yeah, it literally does translate to hammerhead. So, but here we go, Florida Museum of Natural History. Great introductory profile for most shark species. So we'll take a look. I'm just gonna take a swig of tea. It's been a while since I've had tea on the stream. Like that was like a staple last year, and like I feel like I've been kind of in and out with tea. But all right. Oh, it's a good batch actually. All right. So, Smalleye Hammerhead, named for its unusually small eyes, which evolved due to its preference for muddy coastal waters. So that's actually really cool because, again, the skin is rumored to evolve for that reason as well. Like, the golden color is rumored to be for that adaptation and being in muddy, turbid areas. So, sporting distinctly flat and arched cephalofoil, the species could detect prey in the murkiest of waters. So, on that note, it'd be kind of cool to see the Ampullae lorenzini, if they have evolved maybe a little bit differently. And they might not have, but like, is this shark extremely electroreceptive? And that's a cool thing about hammerheads in general, like the winghead shark. Hammerheads tend to be more electroreceptive than other sharks because they have more Ampullae lorenzini scattered across their cephalofoil. So super cool. So they have a better range in terms of like, or better sensitivity to detecting electromagnetic fields, which is super cool. Let's see. Oh, the English names are the curry shark, interesting, and the golden hammerhead. Love the golden hammerhead. Let's see some other names. Spanish names are Cornuda de Corona, Cornuda ojachica, like that one, peixe-martelo. Maltese names: Kroza, Karaza, Rasha, Gira, peixe-martelo. Yeah, interesting. Greek: Zagina. That one's actually kind of interesting because there's a hammerhead. The smooth hammerhead's Latin name is Zagina, so that's actually really cool. Okay. Now this is odd. So importance to humans, this is one of the most abundant species along the east coast of South America and is therefore a significant portion of the bycatch by shrimp, boat trawls, and other fisheries. While the fins and meats are sold, it's not considered to be of large economic importance. It's pretty interesting to see it's one of the most abundant species because I think that has recently changed. In the IUCN Red List, this is a critically endangered species. So as of 2019, it's been listed as critically endangered. So we'll get to that in a little bit. Ooh, this is a great photograph, actually. Look at this. It's a little blurry, but it's a really cool profile of the species. It's a really nice shot. And you know what, now that they pointed out, yeah, you can see those are proportionally small eyes relative to other hammerheads. And I kind of feel like, in a weird sense, like, the actual cephalofoil itself is pretty thin. I wager it's actually kind of thin compared to other hammerheads as well. So I could be wrong, but that does look a little bit thinner. So let's see. There have been 15 unprovoked attacks by the genus Sphyrna. Those probably refer to the larger hammerheads. I don't think this one is dangerous at all because it's just small. And let's see. There has only been one reported hammerhead attack at Smalleye Hammerhead's home range, and is one of the few to be identified as a scalloped hammerhead. Yep. Yeah, the Smalleye Hammerhead likely poses no serious threat to humans. That makes sense because this is kind of along the same size as a bonnethead shark, so it's a small little guy. So, conservation in recent years has been a marked decline reported in artisanal catches of Smalleye hammerheads in Trinidad. This is likely a result of overfishing. Due to pressures of overfishing and small litter sizes, the Smalleye has been labeled as vulnerable. Okay, so this is actually outdated because that went from vulnerable to critically endangered pretty quickly. So we'll get into the details on the red list. And this is also a little scary. So you have this range map for a lot of the South American coastline here. But as far as like the final range map, it is... Oh, no, I'm sorry. I got that wrong. I thought it was just the northern part of South America. It actually spans from Argentina to Colombia. So my mistake. Sorry about that. I thought the range was a lot smaller than that. So, all right. So that was a lot larger than I thought. Older reports list the species in the Mediterranean Sea and Gulf of Mexico are likely incorrect identifications for the whitefin hammerhead. Sphyrna quardi. What? hold on. I'm gonna check Sharks of the World because I don't think I heard of that one. Corona, Media, Tibero, Tudes. Wow, okay, I've never heard of this. And it's not in Sharks of the World. The whitefin hammerhead? Sphyrna quarti? Let's check that out really quick. That one is... That has got to be... I feel like that should be like misclassified or something. Hold on. Sphyrna quarti. Oh, actually, no. This website. I love this website. It does have kind of a weird search thing, so we'll try. We'll do it the old-fashioned way, just kind of looking through. Also, this is sharkreferences.com, amazing resource, and it has species that are, like, it has all of the living shark species listed, including their old names. So it's very helpful as far as kind of tracking down research records. Here we go, Sphyrna quarti. There we go. I think I saw it. I think it's retired. It's a scalped hammerhead. Where is this? Da, 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 da. I saw a note. Okay, here we go. Sphyrna quarti, valid name Sphyrna lewini. So the whitefin hammerhead is actually a scalloped hammerhead, just misclassified as a different species. So, and this is one feature I love about this website, is that it will have, like the old name, but it will have a footnote that like the correct name is actually scalloped hammerhead. So, interesting. Yeah, that one threw me for a loop. So no wonder it's not in the Sharks of the World book, because it's not a valid species. So, interesting. Minges, let's go, new shark. Darn, no new shark. Yeah, actually, you know what's interesting? And this gets frustrating with shark taxonomy, but there's the Carolina hammerhead, which was recently discovered, and it looks virtually identical to a scalloped hammerhead, but there's something different about the vertebral counts. So this may not be the end of the whitefin hammerhead. It may not be the end of Sphyrna quarti. Like, that could be resurrected someday, because there could be something about that species or that population that made it distinct. As far as like, and I don't know the details because I've never heard of this hammerhead species before, but I'm assuming it has white fins or white fin tips. And so, like, what would be kind of cool is if there's more research done, if they determine that's actually a separate species, or if that's maybe a subpopulation of scalloped hammerhead. So it may not be the end of the whitefin hammerhead, but I got excited. I got really excited too, because it's like, it's not the first time that there's been a hammerhead kind of like hiding in plain sight. So, let's see, habitat, muddy coastal waters, 5 to 40 meters, so it's pretty shallow as far as sharks go. Pups live in shallow waters until they reach approximately 40 centimeters, at which point they move into deeper move out into deeper waters. Juvenile adult males tend to school with other individuals of a similar size and are found abundantly at depths of 27 to 36 meters. Again, that's very shallow as far as sharks go. The adult females, however, can be found in shallower waters of 9 to 18 meters and rarely school. So, interesting. One kind of funny thing, random anecdote, but as you guys know, I've been doing the scuba diving. I've been, getting my open water diver recertification, and the open water diver, which is the basic level of scuba diving, the depth limit is 18 meters, and it's been really funny. I've had a kind of a funny time reflecting, like, human perspective versus shark perspective, where it's like, to a shark, 18 meters is absolutely nothing. Like, as far as all sharks go, their range is 0 to thousands of meters, like even 4,000. The deepest sharks I've ever heard of can be found 4,000 meters deep. And so, like, I've been so used to like studying sharks and so used to like kind of like the shark depth ranges that, conceptually, I'm like 18 meters. That's not deep at all. You know, like that's really shallow, and I should be able to go down deeper than that. But then, like you know, like as I'm learning as a human being, you know, scuba diving, you learn all the nuances about like how the gases mix and like how pressure affects your body, and like you know how you can develop, you know. Like it becomes increasingly dangerous the deeper you go for a human being for a lot of different reasons. And it's been an interesting experience learning like, oh wow, 18 meters, that's actually very deep. That's about 60 feet deep and for a human that's like the safe basic level of depth for scuba diving. Deeper is a little bit more advanced diving, and it's like, oh, that's pretty deep. That's for a human being, it's really deep. For a shark, not deep at all. But it's been a funny adjustment on my end where it's like I'm curbing some of my expectations as far as like, oh, I can't just, it's not a walk in the park. it's there's a reason, like there's a lot of training to go down deeper, and there's a reason it's dangerous. So it's been funny. Anyway, biology. The relatively long and flat cephalofoil hammerhead with small eyes located slightly anterior to upper jaw. The species has a uniquely deep indentation in the center of the cephalofoil. So that's actually really cool because I wonder if we can get a better view of that. And I have a cool study that should show that. There we go. So Digimorph. So I believe, let me make sure I got this right. This is a 3D model. No, there is a 3D model, I think, of the cephalofoil. So this is a Smalleye hammerhead, and there you go. You can actually see that. So the deeper notch that they're talking about, and it's really cool to see because it looks a lot like a scalloped hammerhead as far as the shape goes. But it's interesting that they make that comment that this center point of the cephalofoil is a lot deeper. Also, check out, I mean, this is such a cool like scan of the skeleton. It's really amazing to see the architecture of the cephalofoil. Where you just see like these almost bizarre looking branches that, you know, house the eyes on each side of the shark's head. And like the nasal capsules, and just like, you know, this huge area where you can have ampullae lorenzini. You have the jaws underslung here, which is really cool. You do have like the vertebrae, like the vertebral column. All of this is cartilage, but you know, you still have like the vertebral column, the gill arches. Very cool scan. I think on this particular website there should be a way to see this in 3D. Let me make sure I got this. Oh, this is interesting. This actually gives you... oh, this is cool. This is a little bit of a side tangent, but this actually gives you a description of... oh, there's actually a lot to see. Oh, okay. I think you can make this 3D, so we'll do that in a second. But this gives you a cool description of like the anatomy. So here we go. The phylogenetic relationship of hammerhead sharks indicates that the species with the most extreme lateral expansion of the cephalofoil, which is the winghead shark, we did that a couple months ago, is the most basal, while the least laterally expanded species, the bonnethead shark, is the most derived. So the bonnethead shark is the most modern, evolved hammerhead shark, the most recent hammerhead shark in evolutionary terms. And what's really cool is I'm pretty sure Howard, I think you mentioned that during the winghead shark stream, so really, really cool. A number of hypotheses have been put forth to explain the evolution of the cephalofoil. The hydrodynamic lift hypothesis states that the cephalofoil provides hydrodynamic lift in the anterior end of the animal, thereby increasing maneuverability. The cephalofoil may also function in prey manipulation. The greater olfactory gradient resolution hypothesis is based on the greater separation distance of the nares and Sphyrna sharks, providing enhanced ability to spatially resolve odors on different sides of the head, increased olfactory acuity, and increased sampling area. So that's a fancy way of saying the larger the head, the more able the shark is able to ID where a scent is coming from. So it's not just that it can sense electrical fields better, it's that it can also smell better in the water, which is so cool. Let's see. Furthermore, the cephalofoil provides a greater sampling area than carcarian species. A second hypothesis based on sensory biology is the enhanced binocular vision hypothesis. This hypothesis states that the placement of the eyes on the laterally expanded cephalofoil enhances binocular vision interiorly, and increases the visual field of sphearnids. So it's what's really cool is like this weird feature. It's like it's maximizing all of the senses, or not all the senses, most of the senses, where compared to like a bull shark or a dusky shark, a hammerhead shark can smell better, can see better, and can sense electrical fields better. It's so cool. It's like literally, like visually, it's such a striking feature for hammerheads, where they have this just bizarre lateral compression, but it's cool to see like in such a striking way a direct analog to better sensory capability. So cool. Let me catch up on the comments just to make sure. Sorry, before I get too carried away. So Douglas, you mentioned it being sighted in the Mediterranean. Is there any evidence? So, if you become a shark, you can dive deeper. Yes, I hope. I mean, you know what? If there's reincarnation, I think being reincarnated as a shark is a good gig for the most part. It depends on the shark, but I think it's a pretty good gig, because it is usually an apex predator. Therefore it is usually safe. What is the worst? My girlfriend and I were watching Blue Planet, and we were watching bait fish, like herring, and these herring were getting attacked by all sides of by dolphins and sharks and whales and seagulls. This bait ball is getting smaller and smaller. And I think I made a comment if reincarnation exists, this is the worst thing, to be a herring in a bait ball, where there's no escape. And you're just hounded on all sides by all these predators. It's terrifying, actually. So shark is a good way to go. So I appreciate that. That's a good life goal, or afterlife goal, is to be. That's a good afterlife goal, to be reincarnated as a shark. So, hammerhead skulls would make a great metal band logo. Yeah, absolutely. The evolution fact is what got me into hammerheads. I thought it was so insanely interesting. Yes, there's such a cool group. Love that comment, Minjas. There's such a cool group of sharks, just from the evolutionary perspective, and then also just that sensory biology perspective. There's nothing else like them, and it's cool to see that extreme group of really not that many species, like a nice handful of species. And it's cool to see how each one is different, how each one has different nuances. The great hammerhead is the giant, really intimidating 20-foot crazy looking shark. The scalloped hammerhead is a classic poster child species. The smooth hammerhead is the understudy, which is sad because it's actually a really cool hammerhead that tolerates cold water better than its cousins. So smooth hammerheads are kind of they don't get as much attention as scalloped hammerheads, but they like cold water and they can push that range better and further than other hammerheads, which is cool. Bonnetheads famously have the whole, they can process seagrass a little bit. They love the coastal mangroves. You have the golden hammerhead, which has the unique color, the small eyes, and it's critically endangered. The winghead shark, which is just the most basal evolution-wise and yet the most extreme looking. And then the mallet head and the scalloped bonnethead, I don't know as much about, but they have a similar life history as the Smalleye Hammerhead / golden hammerhead. They are very similar as far as they occupy similar habitat. They are experiencing similar conservation issues. So, Howard, also interesting in bonnetheads died of seagrass. Yes, absolutely. So, Howard, better than a seal. Yeah. Better than a seal. Oh my gosh. Yeah, seal would not be oh gosh. Yeah, that's just terrified. That's awful. Seals get it really bad because they have to worry about great whites and orcas. They get it really bad. So, oh my gosh. So let's see. More things here. Oh yeah, the enhanced electrosensory hypothesis. So that's the one I've been talking about a lot tonight. The basis is the idea that the larger surface area of the cephalofoil, the greater surface area is devoted to electroreception, providing a shark with increased ability to detect and spatially resolve the bioelectric fields of prey. The laterally expanded head also enables sphyrnid sharks to possess ampullary tubules that are longer than those found in carcharodontic sharks. Interesting. So the ampullae lorenzini, which are the electrosensing organs, I didn't realize they're actually longer, which is pretty cool. Which may confer greater sensitivity to uniform electric fields than their sister taxa. Very, very cool. I love this note on the Smalleye Hammerhead or golden hammerhead. Sphyrna tudes, the golden hammerhead, is a viviparous, so live-bearing, inshore species found in water usually shallower than 12 meters. Venezuela to Uruguay, Sphyrna tudes is characterized by a cephalofoil that is 28 to 32% of its total length and width. Its diet is small bony fishes, neonate elasmobranchs, so baby sharks, swimming crabs, squid, and shrimp. The anterior teeth are moderately long and weakly serrated, and its posterior teeth are mostly cuspidate. Males mature, so these are small sharks. Males mature at 110 to 134 centimeters, and females 120 to 148. Maximum size 150 centimeters, so that's like 4 feet, maybe? Let's see. Centimeters to feet. 150. Oh, 5 feet. 5 feet. So, all right. So let's see. I believe there is a way to do this. So this website is called Digimorph, and I do think there's a way to see a 3D model of the skull, and not just of this shark species, but a lot of other shark species. I think there's a way to do it. And I've done it before on the stream, I'm pretty sure. Let's see. Okay. I don't think this is exactly what I'm looking for. Let's see. That's not quite what I'm looking for. Let's look at this. That's better. That's a little bit more what I'm looking for. Okay. There we go. Yep, so you can see the 3D model of the shark's skull. So I thought there was a way to do this manually, and I think there is. You might need special software to do it. This is extremely cool though, because you can actually see very faintly the outline of the actual head and body of the shark. So, and actually, you know what? Can I manipulate it in a little bit? I can't get a high resolution, but it is actually really cool to be able to see this through this perspective, where I can pause and we could see a little bit more closely details of the shark. And I love that there is a CT scan of this model, of this species, because this, again, is a rare species. Man, that's actually stunning. So you can see Meckel's cartilage, which is the lower cartilage. Actually pretty prominent lower teeth relative to the body size. It's cool to see the mouth is like underslung beneath this beautiful sensory array with the large cephalofoil. It's kind of incredible to think of like the brain. Well, that's probably not a good view. Like the brain, I mean, let's go back to a top view. Like the brain being up here, you know, housed in this chondrocranium, and then just, you know, the sensory connections that, you know, connect everything. Like the eyes are so far apart, they're so far away from the brain, like the nasal capsules, the ampullae lorenzini all around. Like such an incredible array, you know, all feeding back into this brain area. So it's such a cool scan. And I believe there's more. So let's check out pitch, because there's a couple ways to see this. Oh, sunfish. Sunfish have no defenses. Oh, Sir Douglas, can the model be downloaded into Blender of something? Potentially. I'm not as familiar. Do you know who actually... I'm pretty sure... I don't want to put him on the spot, but like... I think Royal Roy does computer animation, if I remember correctly, because I'm pretty sure he has... on Royal Roy's YouTube channel, I'm pretty sure he has shark animations that he's created, and... if Roy joins us, I'll have to ask him about that. We'll have to ask him about that, because I'm pretty sure he has shark animations, but he might be able to answer. Let's see, because you can do. I see download data. here, but I don't have the software to use it. Oh, learn more. X-ray CT. Let's see what this is. Okay, that might be incorrect. 3D printing. It's actually really cool to see. There's a lot of different skeletons here. I do want to click on dinosaurs in a second, but about the scan. Here we go. Specimen was scanned at University Diagnostic Institute, Tampa, Florida. Okay. I used to live in Bradenton, so that's in the Tampa metropolitan area. Okay, interesting. Click here to download. Okay, so you can download the original CT data. So let me put the link in here. If you are interested in 3D animation, Sir Douglas Bain, I think if I'm doing this correctly, I don't know Blender at all. So, but here is the CT data. So I don't know how that relates to Blender, if it does relate at all. But just in case it's helpful, I put the link in the chat. Let's see. Specimen is on catalog. It was made available for scanning by Dr. Kyle Mara of Temple University and Dr. Philip Moda of University of South Florida. Cool. All right. Let's go back to, I do want to see these other angles. So we've got this pitch angle. That's really cool. That's wild, actually. So it's cool to see the hammerhead head on, you know, and it's amazing. Again, look how thin this is. You know, like imagine this is like literally slicing through the water column, and then like just imagine a fish just being like, underneath the mouth. It's kind of like a reverse of the opening shot of Star Wars, where it's like this big cephalofoil comes at you, and then the fish goes into the mouth. It's just, I don't know. That sounds crazy, but like it's. I wish we can zoom in on this. Like, no, I can't zoom in on this, unfortunately. But, it's cool to see this blade just slicing through the water, and then, there's a side of this blade where a fish can, get sucked up in these really needly teeth. Very cool to see. Love these scans. Love this website. It's been a while since we've seen it, because I'm pretty sure we've seen other scans before of other shark species. But it's a rare treat to kind of go into detail and be able to see these kinds of images. It's so cool. Honestly, I think that's a pretty robust jaw set. As far as those teeth look, again, proportionally pretty large, and it makes sense because this shark can manipulate sizable prey items. Like for a 5-foot shark, being able to eat bony fish and other sharks is kind of makes sense that it has proportionally like a little bit broader teeth on the lower jaw, and then you can see a little bit of recurved teeth on the upper jaw as well. So we'll do one more. Yeah. Let's see what this looks like. That is awesome. So pretty amazing model of the species. And that's actually a really great view of the jaw as well. So you have multiple rows of teeth. Look at that. It almost looks like multiple functional rows of teeth too. So, fish getting bit up by the shark could be like subject to the first, second, maybe even third rows of lower teeth. And then the upper teeth, look how recurved they are. So look how backward pointing they are. So it's like a fish or other prey item can't escape once it's in the jaws. Almost kind of reminds me of some snake teeth. Just very cool to see. Amazing species. Super, super cool shark. All right. Just for fun, I do want to click on this dinosaur page really quick, just to see if there's other dinosaur skulls. Has anybody heard, there's a new game coming out, by the way, called Instinction? Has anybody heard of this? Where it's gonna be, it might be released next year, but there's been like some test footage of it, and it's a game based on biologically accurate dinosaurs, and like they've like consulted like paleontologists to recreate these dinosaurs, and it's like it looks really cool. It's actually kind of terrifying. But has anybody heard of Instinction at all? And actually, let me just make I'm just gonna write Instinction, not sponsored. But Instinction is a new game coming out, and they do have some test videos on YouTube of just the dinosaur models, the dinosaur sounds, and then like the gameplay test footage. It looks gorgeous and terrifying and like really really cool. So yeah, I'm definitely kind of curious about it. So I was just curious if anybody else has heard about it. But it's I think it might be coming out next year. But they're starting to release things piecemeal this year. So, but unfortunately, I can't get to the dinosaur link on this. But you know what? Let's try Velociraptor. Oh, okay. Digimorph dinosaurs. Wow. Herosaurus, Eoraptor. Wow. Let's do Eoraptor. Oh, that's actually really okay. That's really cool. Okay, so they do have dinosaurs on this website, and that's a legitimate fossil. That's so cool. Okay. Okay, so this website is awesome. Go Digimorph. Let's just see a T-Rex really quick, and then I promise we'll get going. Actually, no. Let's do Spinosaurus because that's a meme. And then a T-Rex. Alright, this website's awesome. My search does not seem to be working. Well, I guess we'll try. I think, yeah, there we go. Tyrannosaurus. Okay. I'm just very curious. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be very friendly. Wow. Okay. So I guess they have a few dinosaurs. Oh, a few dinosaurs, but not a lot of dinosaurs. Allosaurus would be really cool. I'll just give it a minute, and then if it's not working, then I'll just kind of skip back to sharks. But Centarsis. Okay, Centarsis. Allosaurus. Okay, I guess the Allosaurus link is broken. Okay. Let's take a look at Centarsis really quick. That is so cool. You can kind of see it's really rough looking, but you can see like the dinosaur's eye, the nasal cavity, and then really nasty looking fangs here. Okay, so this website's really cool. I just want to check out more dinosaurs really quick, but we'll go back to sharks. I do think, and this might be just me, but like I do think dinosaurs and sharks kind of have a similar... I think there is an intersect there as far as like dinosaur people and shark people, and that could be just me, but like I just think there's something about both groups that there's kind of like that command, like that kind of like intrigue, mystery, command, large charismatic predators. So, but yeah, website is Digimorph. So Digimorph has CT scans of a lot of different animals. I've seen other sharks here before, so highly recommend. Super cool website. So we'll go back to learning about the Smalleye Hammerhead. So let's see. Oh, hey Midges. Let's see. Yay, awesome. Thank you for joining us. I know you have to head out soon, but I hope you have a good rest of your night. And yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed the Smalleye Hammerhead, and then some of those CT scans, like of the dinosaur skulls and the shark skulls. So it's been really cool so far. So I'm excited as we keep going. So yeah, please tune in whenever, and hope you have a great rest of your week. So let's see, we were on. We got on the CT scan because we were talking about the deep indentation in the center of the cephalofoil. Coloration, ranging from bright gold to yellow orange, its skin can have a metallic or iridescent hue. As the shark ages and reaches sexual maturity, the colors tend to fade. Interesting. However, it remains yellowish-gray color on the underside. The characteristic golden color results from a pigment present in their shrimp and catfish diet. Interesting. I don't think we've seen that before. Actually, no. I forget which species. I do think there was a shark that we did talk about. I think it's a coral reef dwelling shark that takes on something it eats. Like there's something that it affects its appearance, but I can't remember which one it is. But for this, it's not often that we see that that like the pigment of something that the shark eats is affecting its actual morphology. It reminds me of flamingos. Like flamingos are famously pink because they eat brine shrimp. Brine shrimp are these bright red little shrimps, and it's the primary source of the flamingo's diet, and they eat so much of it that their naturally like kind of gray white plumage became pink over a diet of all these brine shrimp over time. So it's actually really cool to see that the characteristic golden color results from a pigment present in their shrimp and catfish diet. So this is something that so it's the actual diet that affects the shark coloration. It's super cool. Dentition, so the teeth. And also this photograph right here, one of my favorite shark books when I was a kid, this is actually a photograph from that book. So this is kind of a famous photograph. Doug Preen is also a very famous shark photographer. So even though it's a dead specimen, this particular photograph is one of the few representations of this species. What's actually really cool about this is that I've been talking about how thin the cephalofoil is. It's kind of amazing. You can kind of almost see through it in the sunlight. So the narrowly arched jaws are filled with long and slender teeth, which are smooth or have slightly serrated cusp. Let's see. It's one of the smallest hammerheads. Where I talk about size and maturity. Interesting. So Brazilian sharks mature considerably larger than the Canadian sharks. The underlying cause of this difference is yet unknown. Food habits. Diet mainly shrimp, sea catfish, squid, scalloped hammerhead. Oh, interesting. This shark eats scalloped hammerhead. Juvenile. That's wild, actually. Juveniles generally feed on meat shrimp. The color of the sea catfish, their eggs, and shrimp are a very bold golden color. This has led scientists to postulate there's a connection between the carotenoid pigment and the catfish and shrimp and the color of the shark. Fascinating. I'm going to just take a swig of tea. Reproductive cycle is thought to be annual, similar to a bonnethead shark. They are live-bearing. Mating usually occurs in August and September off Trinidad. After 10 months of gestation, 5 to 12 pups are born in shallow coastal bays. The larger Brazilian populations, however, give birth to as many 19 pups, breeding from June to October. Predators. As one of the smallest members of the hammerhead family, the Smalleye is susceptible to becoming prey to larger sharks such as bull sharks and other hammerheads. Juveniles are also preyed upon by large bony fish and other sharks. Interesting. Just catching up on the comments. Let's see. Sir Douglas, on the topics of skeletons and sharks in Morocco, several shark skull fossils were found. Not just teeth, but shark skulls too. Awesome. Oh, cool. When was this? Genus Phobotus or Phoebodus. Let's check that out. Phoebodus shark. Okay, we'll do Smithsonian because it's a pretty cool source. Fascinating. So this actually looks so much like a frilled shark. Wow. Whoa. artist reconstruction of Phoebida sharks. Oh, that is so cool. Researchers are surprised to find several shark skulls and an almost complete skeleton of a 360 million year old primitive shark in the Atlas Mountains of Morocco. Wow, so 360, that is ancient. That is Devonian. These are some of the earliest sharks ever. That is amazing. Oh, no ads, no Smithsonian. Wow. Dude, that is so cool. It does resemble an atypical modern shark, the elusive frilled shark. Yep. Okay, this website, I'll jump off of this because there's so many ads, but that is extremely cool. This is probably going to affect my bandwidth, but Sir Douglas, that is awesome. I'm going to star that because, dude, that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing. Oh yeah, oh hey, look at that. If humans eat enough carrots, they can start to turn faintly orange, or so I've heard. Right, yeah, carotenoids. I thought that sounded familiar, actually, so really cool. I forgot about that. I think there was, does anybody remember, like, Magic School Bus, or, I don't know how old I am in relation to the chat, but, like Magic School Bus, I'm pretty sure there was an episode where one of the characters, like, did that. Like, he ate like a lot of carrots and turned orange. I remember being terrified of that as a kid and being very scared of carrots for that reason. So I forgot about that. Good call. As far as, like, that's another example of, like, diet affecting morphology. So very cool. Taxonomy on the Smalleye Hammerhead. Historically, there's been much confusion regarding the scientific name for the Smalleye Hammerhead. The name Sphyrna tudes was first applied to a Smalleye Hammerhead specimen in France. Oh, this is this Mediterranean one. Here we go. That was originally thought to be a great hammerhead. Okay, that's very different. Due to this misnomer, for many years the great hammerhead was known as Sphyrna tudes. Whoa, okay, I did not know that. When the Smalleye hammerhead was discovered off the coast of South America, it was given the name Sphyrna bigelowii. So this is after Bigelow of Bigelow and Schroeder, so famous ichthyologist. Years later, when samples of Smalleye hammerhead were compared to a French sample of the misnamed great hammerhead and discovered to be conspecific, the names were changed. The great hammerhead was then changed to Sphyrna macron, which is the correct name today. This is so cool. And the Smalleye hammerhead to its present name, Sphyrna tudes. Additionally, smalleyes were misidentified in the Mediterranean Sea and Gulf of Mexico as whitefin hammerheads, Sphyrna quarti, and we know that Sphyrna quarti is actually Sphyrna lewinii, so the scalped hammerhead. So there's no such, as far as we know, there's no such thing as a whitefin hammerhead. It's actually a scalped hammerhead. So obviously, as you can see, very confusing taxonomic history. So, but very cool, great article from Florida Museum of Natural History. So let's catch back up to date, though, with the conservation, because, again, Smalleye hammerheads are critically endangered. They're one of the most vulnerable shark species, so let's take a closer look as to why. And if you haven't already, I did make a video on critically endangered hammerhead sharks, so please, if you get a chance, check that out. It's probably my best video, to be honest, and it's the one that I'm the most proud of. So if you get a chance, please take a look, because it does have this species and then 4 other hammerhead species, all of which are critically endangered. So, but the Smalleye hammerhead is a medium-sized shark that occurs in the western, central, and southwest Atlantic from Colombia to Rio de la Plata, Argentina. It inhabits inshore waters over the continental shelf at depths of 5 to 80 meters. It is captured in intense and largely unmanaged commercial and artisanal beach seines, gill nets, long lines, and trawls throughout its geographic range. This shark is targeted or retained as bycatch for its meat, which is consumed or sold locally. There are few data on population reduction, but these intensive unmanaged fisheries are suspected to have caused reductions and possibly local extinctions throughout the species range. Now that part is really terrifying, because in the Florida Museum article, we were reading that, oh, it's one of the most abundant hammerheads, but now it's rumored to be locally extinct in some parts of the world, and that change is really terrifying, especially in such a short amount of time. For example, in Brazil, this hammerhead has not been recorded in 35 years from Ceará state, and is considered by local fishers to be depleted in Bahia state. This shark is supposed to be strictly protected in Brazil, but it's clear that it's still landed and traded in various states. I believe we were looking at another species before where, and I forget if it's Brazil or another South American country, and I apologize because it's really important which one it is, but I believe there's a country or countries that do have protections, but there's pressure from the local fishing industry that basically bypass the protections. So I forget if it was Brazil, and I don't want to say it is just because it's like I can't remember off the top of my head who it is, but there is a country in South America where there is, like, some countries just don't have any protection whatsoever. Some countries do have the formalized plan, like a management plan or protection plan, but it's getting a lot of pressure from the local fishing industry to the point where it's not really enforced very well. So overall, due to intense and largely unmanaged fisheries across its range, lack of refuge at depth, suspected declines in many areas, and local extinctions suspected from an absence of records, despite continued sampling and observation, it is relatively unproductive. Oh, and its relatively unproductive life history. It is suspected that the Smalleye Hammerhead has undergone a population reduction of over 80% over the past 3 generations, and is assessed as critically endangered. So that's really scary, especially again when you look at the depth range. It's 5 to 80 meters. That's very shallow as far as sharks go, and when you consider fishing, that's very accessible as far as fishing goes. So having no refuge at depth is a really, really important part of what makes critically endangered sharks, or like coastal sharks, like this hammerhead, really vulnerable to fishing, is that they can't escape. They can't get into deeper water to alleviate some of that pressure. And what's even more terrifying is that there are hammerheads that can, like the great hammerhead and scalloped hammerhead, can go into deeper water, but they are still critically endangered. Like, those are both critically endangered species. So it's really unfortunate as far as the species go. Let's check out conservation actions. Like, what is going on as far as the Smalleye hammerhead? This shark is listed in the Brazilian Ordinance of the Ministry of the Environment, number 445, which restricts all harvest and trade of the species listed as endangered or critically endangered of the Brazilian National Red List. This legislation came into force in December 2014. However, it is suspended for all of 2015 and first half of 2016 due to pressure from the fishing industry. Okay, so it is Brazil. Okay, so don't need to mince words. It was Brazil. So Brazil has legislation in place, but the fishing industry has put a lot of pressure on the country as far as this goes. So, yep. Okay. The ordinance faces increasing industry pressure, including a current court challenge to suspend the legislation again by the Secretaria Nacional de Agricultura e Pesca, SAP. Oh, I'm sorry. SAP, who brought forward their contention of the Brazilian National Red List, was designed specifically for terrestrial species. That sucks. So I'm sorry, but that's not a good argument, because it's like the point is conservation for species that are being threatened, species that, regardless of where they live, I'm just gonna say that's not a good argument, because it's like it doesn't matter where it lives. What matters is that is it in danger? Like, it's a weird argument that they're making. In Colombia, targeted industrial fishing of sharks and rays is prohibited, with set bycatch limits up to 35% of bycatch in national territory, and to 5% in the archipelago of San Andreas, Providencia, and Santa Catalina. However, surveillance and compliance requires strengthening. To conserve the population and permit recovery, a suite of measures will be required, which will need to include species protection, spatial management, bycatch mitigation, and harvest management, all of which will be dependent on effective enforcement. So this is not really looking good for this species. This kind of current situation and the outlook of it it frankly really does not look good for the Smalleye hammerhead. And it actually, we've talked about a couple really critically endangered sharks, like the lost shark or the Pondicherry shark. This particular hammerhead, given what it's facing, it could be up there as far as like one of the most vulnerable sharks in the world, like one of the most endangered sharks in the world, and one that we could actually seriously lose, which is horrifying. But it's a real possibility, kind of given what the shark is up against. So further research is needed on life history and population size and trend, and species-specific monitoring should be undertaken in commercial and artisanal fisheries. So, Henry Wag, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, welcome. So, we have a really cool community of shark people here, people who are passionate about marine biology and sharks. So, if you have any questions, just please leave them in the chat. We talk about a lot of different species, and we also it's a pretty chill stream, so we just kind of like meander on topics, coming back to our shark species, our shark species of focus. But yeah, welcome to the stream. So let's see. I think we'll hop off the IUCN Red List and go to FishBase. So this is a good good catalog, like a quick reference for any kind of fish species, especially for shark species. So we'll probably not get a lot of new notes from FishBase, but we'll just take a look. So, all right. Sphyrna, so Latin name, possible misspelling of Sphyrna, Greek, hammer, referring to their hammer-shaped heads. And then tudes, Latin for hammer, referring to the hammerhead-shaped head. So it's basically hammer, is the literal translation. Biology, a little-known inshore shark of the continental shelf, found down to at least 12 meters deep. Feeds on small bony fishes, including sea catfish and grunts, but also newborn scalloped hammerheads. That's actually kind of wild to me because, so it eats scalloped hammerhead pups, but then scalloped hammerhead adults eat this species. So that's pretty wild how that kind of works out. So swimming crabs, squids, and shrimp. Let's see, live birth, number of young probably 6 to 9 per litter. So it's not, as far as a small shark goes, the rate of reproduction and the number of pups it produces is not terrible, but against all that fishing pressure, it's, again, not really looking great for the species. So yeah, I think the rest for tonight is going to be actual research on the shark and kind of more details about just the species in literature. And there's actually a lot of cool papers on it, so we'll take a look at that. Let's see. Sharkreferences.com does have a good overview profile, and I want to see, this is the image of the original description. Here we go. That's actually really cool. So this is the very first description of the Smalleye Hammerhead, also known as the golden hammerhead. Really cool, and you can see that distinctive feature of the deep indentation in the interior part of the cephalofoil. So this is something that makes it distinct from other hammerhead species. Again, those teeth, I do think they look proportionally pretty large relative to the head size and the body size. So beautiful illustration. Where is this from? 1822. Wow. So this is a shark engraving from 1822. Like, gorgeous illustration there. Very, very cool. Let's see. More English names. Some of these were mistaken because the species has been confused with other species. So I know we were talking about how, and look at this range map is crazy. And it's probably because it's been misidentified, because the true range of this shark is in South America, but these other sightings, they're confused with other species. So you have like the great hammerhead here, the bonnethead, this just generic hammerhead shark. I think that Mediterranean record, it just sounds like more and more that it just wasn't a Smalleye hammerhead to begin with. It was one of the larger species that was just misidentified. So, oh hey, check this out. So really great shots of the jaws. So we definitely want to take a closer look at the teeth. Beautiful jaw set. It's a little dark image-wise, but again, like, look how crazy recurve those upper teeth are. So again, if you're a fish, if you get snapped up, like, you're not swimming out of that. Like it, and again, it's like a snake's tooth or a snake's jaw. Like, once a fish is in, it's going to be impossible for it to get out. So it's so cool. very dramatic shape, just curving backwards. Man, the lower teeth are especially exciting because they almost look like mako shark teeth, where it's like, you know, these narrow blades that are pulling backwards a little bit. Like these front teeth, especially, not really so much the side teeth, which are more like pyramidal in shape. Like they have like kind of like that spike with the flat base. These front teeth have like the blade that curves back, so it's a little bit reminiscent of mako shark teeth, but just on a smaller scale. Beautiful jaw though. More detail on the tooth type. And you can see very clearly that it's a shark that can handle fish really, really well, maybe some larger prey items, but just like kind of like the teeth looking or resembling the function of fish hooks. It just like based on like the tooth shape, you can kind of see that it does specialize in fish for the most part. Beautiful teeth. Let's go back to... It's cool to see this is a little bit crowded in the front, because there've been a couple photographs of the species where it looks like there's multiple functional rows, so it's not just a single row. Like in the upper jaw, it's a single row of teeth that is functional, but in the lower jaw, it looks like there's kind of like a bristle of teeth, more so in the front, so it's like rows of functional teeth to help with prey items. So very cool. All right. And nice diagram of each of the individual teeth, as well as the dermal denticles. So you can kind of see how they all function together and create that kind of help with the shark's hydrodynamic shape. So it's super cool. All right, I think this is Smithsonian, has a quick profile on the species, not a lot of new information on it. And this is where I kind of got confused, because this map just limits its distribution to the northern part of South America, but the actual full range of the species is, there it is. Again, Colombia to Argentina, so much larger range than the Smithsonian website had. Awesome illustration, and I think there's a couple studies or a couple papers that have like more of how you can tell the species apart from other hammerheads. So I think we can probably hop to one. I know I had a few. Here we go. So we'll zoom in. Okay, so Sphyrna tudes. So here is the Smalleye hammerhead, also known as golden hammerhead, down here. So key features are the size is a bit smaller than other hammerhead sharks. The free rear tip of the first dorsal fin over or behind pelvic fin origins. So this, the arrangement and the placement of fins, very important feature for shark identification. Kind of at that higher level where it's like, ah, man, these species look almost exactly alike. How do you tell them apart? By comparison, there we go. So this is a smooth hammerhead, and you can see that first dorsal fin is miles away from the pelvic fin. Whereas with the Smalleye hammerhead, the first dorsal fin is super close to the pelvic fin. So that's one way you can tell them apart. Same thing with the great hammerhead. Look at that. First dorsal fin, not miles away, but distinctly far away from the pelvic fin. Do they have any of the other ones here? This is scalped hammerhead. Scalped hammerhead, quite a bit of space between the first dorsal fin and the pelvic fin as well. So that is a very useful feature. So, and it's kind of cool because in the video that we saw, and we'll go back to that, like in that video that we saw, I did mention that it does look like kind of more like a compact hammerhead. So let's take a look at that in life. Yeah, you can see that. So it's, yep, you can actually see that. So first dorsal fin's right up against the pelvic fin if you drew a straight line. So that kind of compact feel that we were kind of sensing in the beginning, yeah, it checks out. So the dorsal fin is very close to the pelvic fin. So it does look like more of a compressed squat hammerhead, which is so cool to see. I'm curious to see more diagnostic features. So let's go back to how to identify the species versus other kinds of hammerheads. Also, this is a gorgeous shot. That's actually probably the best photograph we've seen of the golden hammerhead against like blue, like just clear blue water. You can see just so richly like that golden color palette derived from its diet of the catfish and the shrimp, which have that pigmentation that helps dye the skin color. So that's a really, really beautiful shot of this species. Let's see. Posterior margin of anal fin nearly straight. Let's compare that to other sharks. Honestly, I think this whole dorsal fin, pelvic fin positioning, that's kind of the better way to tell. Underside of head, the lateral head expansions are wider. Let's see. So the big one is that it looks kind of similar, when you look at the head shape, it looks kind of similar to a scalloped hammerhead. So, because they both have like the scallop shape, like the indentations here. But the Smalleye hammerhead, it has the indentation, but it looks like the head is a bit squatter looking. So that's one way to tell it apart from a scalloped hammerhead. So, very cool. These identification guides are really helpful. I think this is an FAO guide, and these are really more so for fishermen, especially commercial fishermen, so they can tell shark species apart, and that helps them as far as like discarding species that are protected, that they shouldn't really be fishing for. So it's guides like these that are extremely helpful for that. So. Okay. Here's another guide on the Smalleye hammerhead. Excuse me. Also, since it is almost 10:30, feel free, guys, to comment what shark you want to see next week. Henry, if you want to see a particular shark species, we've covered a lot so far, but feel free to throw out a couple different shark species in the chat. But anybody, feel free to comment as far as sharks that you would like to see next week. We could continue that critically endangered kind of vibe as far as like the lost shark or the Pondicherry shark. We could also do an angel shark. It's been a while since we've done a kind of species of angel shark, so those are just some suggestions, but please feel free to leave a comment as far as what you'd like to see next week. Sphyrna tudes, Smalleye hammerhead. There's actually not too much detail on this guide, but it does have the French name and Arabic name. This is from, I think this is from, yep, so sharks of the Mediterranean, but I think this guide is actually erroneous because the Mediterranean individual was not a Smalleye hammerhead, it was actually a misidentified scalloped hammerhead. So they might have included this without doing a deeper check on the record. So. But let's go check out some other papers. So here we go. This is one from 1989 by Jose Castro. He's actually an extremely famous North American shark scientist. So he actually, one of the coolest books in the world as far as sharks go, Sharks in North America, is actually co-authored by him. So he's a primary author on that book. So it's really cool to see his name actually. This is the biology of the golden hammerhead, Sphyrna tudes off Trinidad. So just reading the abstract or synopsis, the golden hammerhead is a poorly known species of shark that inhabits the northeast coast of South America from Venezuela to Uruguay. It is found in coastal waters at depths of 9 to 40 meters over muddy bottoms. It is a small species which attains a maximum size of about 9 kilograms and 122 centimeters. We know that the maximum size in feet is about 5 feet, so it's a pretty small shark. The most distinctive characteristic of the species is its striking bright orange or yellow color. Juveniles less than 80 centimeters total length are bright yellow or orange. Adults are pale yellow. The color is apparently due to pigments present in their diets. Juveniles feed primarily on shrimp, while adults feed on fish and catfish eggs. 2 pigments have been isolated and their characterization is presently being ascertained. Males mature at about 80 centimeters. Females mature at about 98 centimeters. Ovulation and mating occur in August. Gestation appears to be about 10 months, or sorry, appears to last about 10 months. And that's actually pretty short for sharks. Because again, one of the biggest things hurting sharks today, or most sharks, is a very long time to grow and a very long time to reproduce. Because a lot of sharks actually will be pregnant more or less for a year, and then they take a break for a year. So overall the cycle is about 2 years, which is really slow as far as animals go in general. So parturition occurs in shallow waters from late May to June. Broods consist of 5 to 12 young, which measure at about 30 centimeters at birth. The ovarian cycle runs concurrently with the gestation cycle, so it's likely that females are fertilized shortly after parturition and that the species reproduces yearly. Again, very fast for sharks. So, and that's actually a pattern that is consistent with coastal sharks, like the Atlantic sharp-nosed shark. That's one that also reproduces really quickly. And it's sad that this species is critically endangered, while other sharks that reproduce really quickly are actually doing well. Like the sharp-nosed shark is least concerned. So it's just sad to see that difference. So we'll just kind of scan through this. We won't read the whole thing, but just want to scan for any interesting pieces of information. Let's see. Just taking a swig of tea. It's weird, again, golden hammerhead is an abundant shark. So this is from the late 80s, so a lot has changed now. That's actually really terrifying because 90s, 2000s, that's, what was that, almost 40 years? A really sharp decline of species in 40 years, so very scary. Poorly known species, little known information on its biology. Sphyrna tudes is economically important in Trinidad because it's one of the most abundant sharks in market catches. Dozens of specimens are seen daily in the Port of Spain fish market, where it's known as the yellow or golden hammerhead. The bright yellow or orange color with metallic or iridescent hues make this shark one of the easiest to recognize, as well as one of the most beautiful lazabranchs. The name golden hammerhead is far more appropriate than the taxonomist. Okay, so the name golden hammerhead is far more appropriate than the taxonomist Smalleye Hammerhead. Hence, I prefer to call it the golden hammerhead. So that's awesome. Shots fired a little bit, but that's actually really awesome because English names should refer to the key feature of the shark. All names, like English names and scientific names, should be referring to the shark's most important feature, and the gold coloration is a more distinctive feature than the size of the eyes. So that's actually really cool that Castro took a shot in that way. So, but not a bad shot, because he's right. I mean, the golden color, it's very unusual as far as sharks go. The only other sharks that are like that are the lemon shark, and then there's a kind of smooth hound that has like the stripes, like those really beautiful stripes. I forget if it's like Fergalius, but yeah, really, it's yellow and gold. It's kind of a rare color in the shark world, so it's pretty cool to see that. So, let's see, methods. We don't really need to look at that. Oh, records of the species off Mississippi and Gulf of Mexico are incorrect because of erroneous locality data. Again, the Mediterranean thing is not right. Here we go. Habitat. The golden hammerhead inhabits coastal waters to a depth of 40 meters. Off Trinidad, it is confined to the muddy waters from Madelot to Mayaro Point. It was not found elsewhere around Trinidad in spite of extensive sampling. It is one of the two most common sharks in the area, the other being the small-tailed shark, Carcharodontis porosus. Interesting. That shark is also not doing so well. That is, I believe that one's endangered now. So, based on our catch records, adult males and juveniles of both sexes form schools of individuals of uniform size that are most abundant at depths of 27 to 36 meters. Very shallow for sharks. let's see. Newborn and juveniles less than 40 centimeters are found in shallow waters and move to deeper waters a few months after birth. Small species. Again, it gets to be about 5 feet in length. The dorsal fins and the dorsal surface down to level the upper margins of the gill slits are gray or yellowish gray. Let's see. The colors have metallic or golden hues in life. The hues fade after death. Now that's something that's common to pretty much all sharks, or most sharks, where in life all sharks do have this beautiful iridescent sheen. And then if they are stressed out, they release a lot of hormones that actually dull their color. So if a shark is fished and the shininess starts to go away and it becomes like duller and grayer, it's a sign that the shark is extremely stressed out and needs to be put back in the water immediately, so that it can calm down. The hormones start to kind of dissipate a little bit and that beautiful iridescence comes back. So, yeah. Pretty interesting. I'm sure for this species it's probably more spectacular, but it's the same process that's actually common to a lot of species. So, oh, weird. Specimens preserved in alcohol turn gray with a yellowish cast because the yellow and orange pigments are soluble in alcohol. Oh, interesting. Let's see. Live term embryos and newborn are gray above with very pale undersides. The first dorsal fin and upper caudal fin lobe have dusky or dark tips. That's actually really cool to see because a lot of juvenile sharks in the carcharodontiforms, they have like the black tips. Bull sharks have dusky tips when they're born, but they fade as the shark grows. It's actually a feature common to a lot of carcharodontiforms, or the hammerheads and the ground sharks, like the carcharodontids. It's a feature that's kind of shared between them. So. Interesting. The colors tend to fade at the onset of sexual maturity and increasing age. Main prey items are shrimp, so pinnate shrimp, fish remains. Some stomach contents consisted of an orange paste of partially digested shrimp that match a shark's skin color very closely. Subadults and adults feed on small bony fish, primarily sea catfish and their eggs. These sea catfish are covered by golden mucus, which can be scraped easily off the gray skin. Their eggs are also a bright yellowish-orange color. Many adult sharks have stomachs full of intact or partially digested catfish eggs. We've extracted pigments from shrimp, catfish skin, catfish eggs, and shark skin. The two apparently structurally analogous pigments have been isolated from these samples and are presently being characterized. That's actually really cool. And I think that was one of the focuses. So this, this old Shark Week special, I believe that was one of like the research questions of the special was, why does the shark have the golden color? And we'll speed this up. Sorry, I forgot that I actually had this on normal speed. So that was like one of the research questions as far as like, why does the shark have golden color? And I believe it does come up in the special that it is because of the diet. And this is really great because this is, again, the first footage we've seen of this species in the wild. But I wish there was footage in kind of open blue water so you can really see how stark and beautiful that golden sheen is. Also, yeah, I'm assuming I wish Roy was here tonight because this is such a great pick. Like, I'm pretty sure he picked the shark last week, so super great choice because gorgeous species. Ah, man, so cool. And again, this shark was recently released after sampling, so that's why it's swimming a little bit slowly, so it's just regaining its energy. Once it starts kind of getting back up to speed, it will more likely just kind of take off really quickly. Because it's a fast, shallow water predator. So. Let's see. Don't need to really go into reproduction in detail. Let's see. Discussions. Little biological ecological information on the small hammerheads of tropical America. This study reveals that the golden hammerhead is the dominant hammerhead over muddy coastal bottoms of the Orinoco Delta region in less than 40 meters. There are 5 species of hammerhead sharks found in coastal waters of Trinidad. These 3 species, the golden hammerhead, the scoophead, and the bonnethead, were commonly caught together. Oh, look at this. So these are all, wow, these are all golden hammerheads, aka Smalleye hammerheads, and you can see how the head shape changes as the shark grows. So figure A is that a newborn? Sorry, an embryo. So this is an embryo. So the head shape is very compact and almost looks like a bonnethead shark. Once the shark is born, the head kind of becomes more of like a triangle shape, and then as an adult, it continues to expand into that T shape that is more common with hammerheads. So that's interesting. So the golden hammerhead, the scoophead, and the bonnethead were commonly caught together over the shallow, muddy bottoms of eastern Trinidad, while 2 species of scalloped hammerhead and great hammerhead were caught only occasionally in that habitat. So the big hammerheads sounds like they like to be in deeper water. These hammerheads avoid interspecific competition by dietary and habitat differences. Very cool. The juvenile golden hammerheads feed on pineid shrimp, while the adults feed on small bony fish, primarily sea catfish, and their eggs. The bonnethead, which is the dominant hammerhead over the shallower sandy bottoms of the beaches of southern Trinidad, feeds primarily on crabs and stomatopods. The scoophead feeds on small sharks, elasmobranchs, so that's sharks and rays, octopods, squids, and flounders. The scalloped hammerhead feeds on a wide range of batoids, so rays, and bony fishes. It is predominantly a clear water species that occasionally wanders into murky waters. It is most abundant in the clear waters of the northern coast. The great hammerhead feeds on rays, like batoids are rays, and numerous bony fishes. It is an oceanic coastal species which seldom enters muddy waters. Its presence there may be associated with parturition. Unlike its sympatric congeners, the golden hammerhead has a proportionally small eye. This may be an adaptation to the murky waters of its habitat, where vision must play only a small role in prey location. So that's actually really cool that another theory again about the color of this shark is that it helps it blend in with the muddy waters, and the fact that the eye is really small. It's kind of like bull sharks. Bull sharks also have a small eye, and it makes sense because they do go into murky fresh water. And so, like, sight really doesn't help them, and there's really no need for large eyes when vision is not going to really be helpful in that kind of environment. So, it's kind of cool to see those analogous features. It's also it's kind of like how deep water animals or cave animals don't have eyes at all, because it just it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't help them as far as like locating what they need. So it's actually really cool that sharks that occupy muddy habitats like rivers, they have small eyes. Conversely, another good comparison is like sharks that are in like the twilight zone, where there is a little bit of light, not too much light. They have large eyes to help kind of maximize their vision in that kind of environment. So let's see. All other sympatric hammerheads have proportionally larger eyes and prefer clearer waters. So for the bigger hammerheads that are in open ocean, vision is going to be very helpful because they can see clearly. So the eyes are there's more investment in the eyes, they're more developed. Whereas the golden hammerhead or Smalleye hammerhead spends more time in murky water, so there's no need for it to be as developed. So cool to see that. There are a few references to unusual coloration of the golden hammerhead. The species is usually the ordinary shark gray color, but an occasional shark is vivid golden yellow. Probably this is a color imparted by some organism the shark has eaten. We talked about that. All the golden hammerheads I sampled off Trinidad were yellow or orange. It now appears that a carotenoid pigment is responsible for the coloration, and the pigment and the metabolite rate are being passed through the food chain. Term young might acquire the pigment from the mother. Interesting. So so the pups, which are born live, they do have a connection to their mother, and so like they might be getting that skin pigment from her, which is so cool. Juveniles pick up the color after they start feeding on shrimp. The color intensifies to orange as they reach a subadult phase and begins to fade after they change to a fish diet at about 67 centimeters. Subadults and adults appear to pick up pigments from catfish and their eggs. Whether the catfish pigment is also acquired from shrimp, whether it is produced by the catfish is unknown and is presently being ascertained. Another shark species in the area is the yellow smoothhound. Okay, yeah, the yellow smoothhound, Muscles segmenti, has overall yellowish tinge and bright yellow dorsal and caudal fins. However, its colors do not approach the intensity and brightness of those of the golden hammerhead. The yellow smoothhound also feeds on shrimp. So this is a really cool part of the world where it's like, you know, these prey items are changing the shark's color. So that's pretty fascinating. Let's see. Talking about sexual segregation in schools, which happens with quite a few shark species. Here we go. The golden hammerhead's discrete breeding cycle, unlike other small sharks in the area, such as the small-tailed shark and the Caribbean shark, are sharks around porosis, which reproduce throughout the year and show no distinct breeding period. Let's see. Yearly reproductive cycle. The yearly reproductive cycle is consistent with the pattern of other hammerhead sharks, which drop young and fertilize shortly afterwards. Let's see. So there's not a lot of clarity on the gestation period, so how long. So it's assumed to be a yearly reproductive cycle, but we're not 100% sure. Okay. Although the golden hammerhead is one of the easiest hammerheads to identify, there has been considerable taxonomic confusion over its scientific name. Some of this confusion was caused by the type specimens, which are embryos or newborn specimens. Long preserved, faded, very small specimens of the golden hammerhead could be confused with very small scalped hammerheads. Embryo, and that makes sense because they both have that scalped shape. The golden hammerhead, aka Smalleye Hammerhead, has a deeper indentation, but it does look very superficially similar to a scalped hammerhead. So, embryos and newborn scalped hammerheads have a scalped interior margin of the head with a central indentation that's similar to that of the golden hammerhead. However, in the scalped hammerhead, the rear edge of the head forms a much smaller angle with the body, and the process just interior of the eye is more pointed. So this was a really great paper. Oh, awesome. Oh, no. These are... Oh, okay. So the top one is a scalped hammerhead, and the bottom one is a golden hammerhead. So this is actually really cool. You can see, they look very similar, but you can see some distinct differences. So with the golden hammerhead, the head is a bit more squarish and a little bit wider than the scalped hammerhead. But the big one is, again, if you look at the dorsal fin relative to the pelvic fins, there is a little bit of space here for the scalped hammerhead, and there isn't really that big of a space for the golden hammerhead. So the end of the dorsal fin coincides with the beginning of the pelvic fin. So that's the best way to tell them apart. I can see in this photo too that the scalped hammerhead has a black tip on its caudal fin, and it looks like the golden hammerhead doesn't, but we did read that sometimes golden hammerheads do have that, so the color is probably not the best feature, but really it's the head shape. Also, the head proportionally seems a lot bigger on the golden hammerhead than it does the scalped hammerhead, but the head shape, I would even say the pectoral fin shape, and then the positioning of the dorsal fin versus the pelvic fin. So really cool to compare these two, and it's actually a really great example of like the subtleties of different species of sharks. So it's very subtle features as far as like being able to tell them apart. So all right, I think since it's getting close to 11, we'll wrap up in a little bit. I'm just going to hop around the rest of the papers. I think our chat is kind of winding down a bit as well, so we might end a little early tonight. So As far as sharks, I'm just gonna put the lost shark out there. And yeah, let's figure out, I just wanna make sure I got the name right. Carcharinus, actually no, lost shark. It's like Carcharinus obsoletus. There we go. Okay. Make sure I got that right. Sometimes it's named something differently. Because like sometimes it can be Carcharinus obsoleus. But either way, I think that'd probably be a good species for next week. Let me know if you want to do something different, but that one, as far as like the vein of critically endangered sharks, that's probably a good one for next week. So, let's see. This is kind of more like a self-made website, so we'll kind of keep going. Oh, this is cool. A phylogenetic supertree of the hammerhead shark. So this is kind of showing how they all relate to each other. So this is by Miro Jose Cavalcanti. So we'll probably check this out, and I think we'll wrap up right after this. So here we go. A phylogenetic supertree of the hammerhead sharks. In this study, 5 hammerhead shark phylogenies based on morphological, isozyme, and mtDNA sequence data, so mitochondrial DNA, were combined to generate a complete, well-resolved composite phylogeny of the Sphyrnidae, so the hammerhead family, using matrix representation with parsimony. The resulting supertree contains all 8 known Sphyrnid species and represents the best estimate of the combined relationships presented in the original 5 source trees. The supertree will provide a useful framework for further phylogenetic comparative studies of Sphyrnid evolution, ecology, and biogeography. So let's just go right to the figure. Here we go. So these are the different proposed relationships between the hammerheads. So here we go. So we know that so Sphyrna blotchii is the winghead shark, very extreme looking. We know that it is the most basal hammerhead. So this first tree looks good. So figure A looks pretty good. Figure C looks a little fine. Well, it looks a little weird because it's putting this one close to the great hammerhead. Figure E looks good because the winghead shark is the outlier. And figure B looks a little weird. I think, did they make a final super tree? Is this it? Okay. I think this is it. Figure 2 is, yeah, the better tree. So here we go. So it looks like the final tree, the one that's correct, because it looks like the one they compared like 5 different versions, and they were trying to figure out like where do these make sense, where do these kind of go wrong. So it looks like the final relationship between the different hammerhead sharks is this one. Here we go. So the most ancient is the winghead shark, Sphyrna blotchii, which we covered a couple months ago. So really extreme looking species, native to Australia, has that really enormous head relative to the body size, which helps it do these incredible tight turns for hunting fish. Then you have a split with the other hammerheads, so these are all Sphyrna versus Sphyrna. You have a split between the large hammerheads and the small hammerheads. So of the large hammerheads, you have Sphyrna macaron, which is the great hammerhead. This is a little typo right here, but this is the great hammerhead, which is about 20 feet long, enormous, terrifying, scary-looking shark, and crazy huge fins, very sharp falcate-looking fins altogether, so really cool-looking animal. And then you have the 2 closely related smooth hammerhead and scalped hammerhead. Sphyrna lewinii is a scalped hammerhead. Sphyrna zygina is a smooth hammerhead. They're both large sharks. These are like the classic hammerhead sharks. The scalped hammerhead being like the flagship species that you always see in Discovery Channel, in nature specials. The smooth hammerhead looks very similar to it except for the smooth head shape. So the head is like a smooth angle. It doesn't have the indentation like the scalped hammerhead does. And then the other branch of this tree are the small hammerheads. So Sphyrna tubero is the bonnethead shark, which has that beautiful little like scoop shape head, or kind of like a shovel shape head is probably the better way to say it. Then you have Sphyrna tudes, the Smalleye Hammerhead, which is down here, so also known as the golden hammerhead. So this is tonight's shark. And then Sphyrna corona and Sphyrna media. I think that's the scalloped bonnethead, which is kind of confusing, and then the mallet head shark. So yeah, Sphyrna corona is a scalloped bonnethead. Sphyrna media is a scoop head shark. So sorry, got the English names a little confused there. But it's really cool to see how they relate. In this tree, it actually evolutionarily makes sense, where you have the large hammerheads grouped together, the small hammerheads grouped together. The bonnethead shark is kind of weird compared to the other three. It does look different. It does not have like the T-shape like the other three have. And then finally, the most basal outlier is the winghead shark. So it's the most extreme looking and the most distant overall from the other hammerheads. So very cool taxonomic tree, pretty cool phylogeny. So yeah. So I think, this creepy image, this is music from Adrian von Ziegler, just kind of like some South American ambient music, because this species is from South America. So just thought it'd be kind of cool. But let me go ahead and slow this down, and I think we'll wrap up with just some outro footage on the golden hammerhead. So, but yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. This was a really cool species. There's not a lot known about it, but it's really cool to see that we actually were able to see some footage on this critically endangered shark. I'm really excited about the fact that it does have this rich golden color based on its diet. Because originally when we started the stream, we thought it was an adaptation for it to blend in with the murky water environment. But and that can still be true, but another factor of it is its prey items, its diet between the shrimp and the catfish, enrich its skin color into this beautiful golden sheen. So that's actually really cool. And again, gold and yellow are really rare in the shark world. Lemon sharks and that smoothhound that they were talking about, like in that paper, which was a really good paper. The paper from Castro was really excellent, kind of going through the biology of the species. It's a rare color, like yellow or gold, really rare color. I can't imagine what it's like to see the shark in open water, like just like against like clear blue. It must be a really beautiful species to see in life, and I hope we do see it hope we can see it someday. So. But thank you guys so much for watching. We'll tune in next week for the lost shark, Carcharodontis obsoletus. This is probably going to be the shark that is closest to extinction, so kind of more of a serious episode. And then also finally, as a reminder, we're going to be doing a fossil special soon, so please feel free to keep sending in if you have shark fossils, photos of the shark fossils to the Dr. Jaws website. And we're going to put together a cool slideshow, and I'm going to share my fossils as well. Cool presentation of a lot of different shark species through time, so I'm very excited for that. But thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next week for the lost shark, Carcharodontis obsoletus. But cheers, guys. Have a good week.